Welcome back to Cryptos Are Us. I am George. We're all George. So happy Monday. Yes, I am live streaming today. And that's because Bitcoin, crypto, markets make a huge bounce, major bounce after this. There are some major things happening today and this week. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why things are starting out in the green this week and if it will continue. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look at this. We are starting out the day at 87,300. Better than yesterday in my crypto walk video, even though I didn't walk. Sunday walk, Sunday cruise video, and Saturday. We've been trending up. We've been trending up slowly during the week. Okay, for the last 3 days, seems like we have found the bottom and we are going higher. And many crypto are coming up. And yesterday, I re-emphasized that. Surprisingly, yesterday's video didn't do as well because I mentioned a lot of oversold crypto that are great pickups. And in fact, many of them has gone up quite a lot today, including Solana, which is up 8%. Avalanche, another one I mentioned, up 10%, and many others. Today, we're starting out pretty good. This week, we're starting out pretty good, and we are still heading higher. But what's the reason for this? Why are we going higher? Well, let's talk about it. You can see the U.S. market is opening up very in the green. Okay, very in the green. That's good. People are saying sound is low. There's not much I could do about sound, I don't think. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if I can change my sound real quick. Hello. I think I have to restart after this, but you guys have to just bear with. Turn up your volume. We're starting out the day pretty well, pretty green all around. And it's really due to one reason and one reason alone, and that is a more relaxed stance on tariffs. Bottom line is, there's going to be tariffs starting next week. And Trump is saying that there will be more, I don't know, more relaxing on it. Okay, I don't know the exact, I don't know exactly what he's going to be doing. I don't even know what he's going to be placing. Like all these reciprocal tariffs he's saying he's going to place. He may be relaxing on a lot of that. Basically, we don't even know because they haven't been placed yet, besides the ones against Mexico and Canada and China. But markets like that. Markets like relaxed tariffs. That's why we are rallying right now. And a lot of oversold stocks are going up, right? Again, I mentioned all this yesterday. So hopefully you guys pay attention if you didn't go watch my video from yesterday. But also, you know, the whole point of the tariffs, well, there's a lot of points to the tariffs. But one of the points to the tariffs is to bring jobs and manufacturing back to the U.S. And we're starting to see effects of that. Hyundai announced that they're going to do a $20 billion investment. They're going to have a manufacturing plant here in the U.S. That's awesome, right? A lot of manufacturers are going to do so. The big three, they're going to be pulling back. And, you know, we're hearing like Apple, TSMC, and others are making big investments as well, right? So it's definitely a start. It's a step in the right direction. But it's going to take time for all these to spin up and get jobs and all that stuff. But these commitments are great. So step in the right direction. We're starting to see it. So, that's what's happening right now. For this week, it's very early. It's day one. It's just 5 minutes after market open. Things could still turn rocky later this week because we do have some big economic stuff happening. I mentioned that. Like, for example, on Thursday, we're going to have a GDP. Friday, we're going to have another PCE inflation reading. Both of these things can affect markets greatly. But assuming both of these are coming in line with expectations, then things are good. The biggest worry right now for markets is the tariffs. And we're getting a more relaxed stance on tariffs altogether. And we're seeing the effects of tariffs bring in more money into the country. That's reassurance to Wall Street. Like, hey, this could be a good time to start buying back what we sold, because many projects, or companies and Bitcoin and obviously crypto projects have been sold off within the last 2 months, down 50%, over 50%. Great time to be loading up once again. And in fact, if you pay attention, they have been. You look at the ETF, Bitcoin ETF flow, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight days, they have been positive. That's probably the reason why, going back last week, we haven't seen a lot of volatility to the downside. We've been mostly staying flat, and we had a couple stints going upwards, but we've been slowly building that base and trending upwards. All the massive selling, like you see up here, have stopped. Wall Street is starting to realize, okay, maybe we sold a little bit too much. Bitcoin down 30+%. That's a pretty good bargain. So a lot have started buying back. And that's just Bitcoin. But a lot of alts, obviously, you guys know, have not really come back yet. And actually, if you look at Ethereum's ETF, still nothing but red. Nothing but red. So you could see Wall Street's appetite for alts, not nearly as great as Bitcoin. But it'll turn. It'll turn eventually. But right now, man, for how many straight days, weeks, nothing but outflows on ETH. But it's going to turn around. Money's going to come back in once there's some resemblance of some kind of stability, okay? That money's going to flow back in, and it's going to be glorious. When that quantitative easing starts once again, that I've been mentioning for a while now, we're going to have an inflow of liquidity that we haven't seen for a long time. And when it happens, everything will skyrocket once again. But this is the time to HODL and DCA. This is not the time to panic. And that's what the big boys are doing. Obviously, the ETFs are showing inflow. The Bitcoin, I don't know. The Bitcoin, I don't know if I want to say the word I want to say. Let's just say the big dogs, okay, of Bitcoin. Like Saylor, decided to pick up more. Another 6,900 Bitcoin, 584 million. Now he's sitting at 506,000 plus. He's not going to stop. Metaplanet, which is the MicroStrategy of Japan, purchased another 150. I mean, that seems so little compared to 6,911, but still 150 is no joke. That's a lot. They used to purchase like 5, 10, 15. Now they upped it to 150 at a time. And they added Eric Trump as an advisor. That's not a bad move either. So these companies will continue to load up because they know it's the right thing, especially Saylor. And Standard Chartered says that, Bitcoin may even replace Tesla in the Magnificent Seven. Tesla obviously has been doing very bad. It went down for 9 straight weeks, but it does seem like it's coming back up now. Okay. But the rest of the Magnificent Seven, even though they're not down as bad as Tesla. It's obviously because of all Elon and all his involvement with everything. But wouldn't it be nice if Bitcoin was part of the Magnificent Seven? Or maybe they change it to the Glorious Eight or something. I don't know. Something else where now it's 8 and Bitcoin is part of it. Right? There's no reason why it can't be. Bitcoin's performance is still arguably the best. Nothing outperforms Bitcoin, so why not? Why not? And here's something from Robert Kiyosaki, and this is extra special because look at who he names. Why do poor people remain poor? Most of us have heard of FOMO. Yet the main reason poor people remain poor is due to FOMM, fear of making mistakes. Honestly, that's true. Most people don't do things because they're too comfortable. They don't want to make a change, or they're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid that something may go wrong. That's why a lot of people with bad jobs will stay with that bad job forever. Because they're afraid that whatever other job they get into may be even worse. Right? I actually think that's really true. But he goes on and says, the biggest opportunity in history is here is Bitcoin. All right? Bitcoin has made it easy for everyone to get rich. Yet a lot of people will miss out on the greatest wealth creations in history. Basically, it's true. And then there will always be people that say, well, Bitcoin is too expensive, and they missed out. I've heard that for forever, throughout many cycles. When I first got in, people said the same thing. Bitcoin is too expensive at $1,000. I could have bought it at $100. When Bitcoin's, was at 20, people are like, Bitcoin's too expensive at 20,000. I could have bought it at 1,000. Same thing. Bitcoin's too expensive at $69,000. I could have bought it at 20,000. It's always going to be the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. When Bitcoin hits 200,000, people will say, it's too expensive. I could have bought it at $80,000 now. Right? That's always going to be the same. That's why when it comes to Bitcoin, you just keep on stacking. That's it. You just stack and hodl, stack and hodl. That is it. You don't need to outsmart the market. You don't need to trade it. You don't need to do anything. And why this extra special post is look at the people he lists. People who are followed: Jeff Booth, Michael Saylor, Samson Mow, Max Kaiser, Donald Trump, George of Cryptos Are Us. He actually lists me out. He doesn't even just say Cryptos Are Us. He says George of Cryptos Are Us. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then he's like, get smart, get educated for free. Best news. The best information on YouTube, right? Well, thank you, Robert. And I started following Robert ever since I read his book, of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I got to say, I love the shift because if you know Robert, he's always been a big gold and silver guy, right? He's always been a commodities guy. He's been saying how bad fiat is and how it's debt and how irresponsible our governments are, why there's going to be inflation forever, why you should not trust the people in charge of our money, right? That's why he's such a believer in gold and silver. But now he sees the bigger picture with Bitcoin, and he talks about Bitcoin all the time. And that's awesome. All right, what else is there? Just a few other things. And here's the thing. This is how early it is. Bitcoin is still only 1.3% of the global money. Barely anything. Barely anything. Even at our peak at 109,000, it's like 1.3 something. Okay? That goes to show you how much more Bitcoin can go. Even to come to the same market cap as gold, Bitcoin's going to be near $1 million each. Keep in mind, you can always mine more gold. We don't know the theoretical limit of how much gold there is on this planet, and maybe we can mine it from asteroids, but we know the set supply for Bitcoin. That's not going to change. That's the difference. The scarcity factor is real with Bitcoin. And recently, we are seeing a big pickup with Bitcoin transactions. And this correlates with all the buying, the ETF buying, the Saylor buying, and all these whale buying, whale transactions. So this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Shows that people are coming back. Here's a whale that just purchased 106 million from Binance and withdrew it. So obviously a lot of people are coming back, seizing the opportunity, and that's what we want. And it's pretty obvious from this chart what's happening, right? We have gone down, and now we're recovering back up. And once we get above, we'll be back in the 90s. And once we're back in the 90s, we'll be back in the hundreds in no time. And it'll seem like this never happened. Okay? We may have to wait another month, another 2 months. We may have to wait until the next FOMC meeting. We may have to wait for Powell to cut his rate. Or maybe we don't have to wait that long because people are recognizing that Bitcoin should have never been sold in the first place. All those ETF sellers, they're becoming buyers again. So, all good. All good. And then today, Solana's doing good. Solana's doing real good. And it could be because a lot of people think that a spot Solana ETF is right around the corner. Considering last week we had futures launch for Solana, and then we had futures ETF launch for Solana. So now people are thinking you're going to have a spot SOL ETF launch in the near future. That could probably be the reason. And plus Solana has been very, very, very oversold. But could be the reason why it's making a big move today. And could be making a big recovery back. So pay attention. But today, so far so good. Today is not just about Solana. I mean, many others. Like I mentioned, Avalanche. Even yesterday's video, I mentioned Avalanche and how oversold it was from the top back in January. It's down like 60-something%. And today, it's up over 10%. And good recovery. Very good recovery. U.S. market is still looking pretty good. Dow up almost 500. NASDAQ up 300. You got Robinhood up almost 8%, which is great. Tesla almost over 7%. MicroStrategy up 5. What else? They mentioned Coinbase yesterday too. Coinbase up about 4%, which is great. Today is just a good day. Good recovery day. All right. Let's do some Q&A. Wrong button. All right. Um, there's a question above from Stanslov. Hi, George. ETH is obviously suffering. Do you expect a recovery once the Fed starts quantitative easing? Obviously, ETH will recover, but if you're asking if it's going to become the strong powerhouse it one was, then no. But it will definitely recover, yes, along with almost all the alts. VZH, Anchor Neura testnet release. It's awakened after a downtrend. Check it out. Both price, social media, greenhouse quickly past 24 hours. Okay. Thanks for the update. New Zealand asks, the IMF, let's hear your thoughts. So on Cryptos R Us yesterday and many others, we did post about the IMF embracing Bitcoin and creating Bitcoin reserve, although I don't know where the source came from, so I have to double check that. But if that's true, if the IMF now is seriously considering or going to create a Bitcoin reserve, that would be huge. Basically, every country on the earth, especially the ones that they're giving money to, are all going to be forced to create a Bitcoin reserve. So I'm hoping that's true. But they've been very, very anti-Bitcoin. So I don't know where that source came from, but I'm going to do more research for that. Michael David said, Trump just tweeted, I know more about crypto than anyone except George. That would be funny. That would be funny. Uh, yeah, a lot of good. Even Trump coin is up 8% today. Render's up. Yesterday I was talking about RWA plays. I was going to mention Render specifically. Don't know why I didn't, but Render's up good today. Sonic, another one that's up. Sonic is American based. I don't talk a lot about Sonic, previously Phantom. Maybe I should more. I got to pay attention. They got some cool stuff going on. We got Bonk that's doing well today. I mean, a lot of things are doing well today. The smaller caps actually aren't doing that well. Some of the memes are doing well, but it's mostly the mid and big caps. Did I ever try cat poop coffee? No, I did not. But I have been getting into 3D printing. I don't know if any of you guys own a 3D printer. My kids got into it, so we started with one like a year or two ago, and then they started getting really into it. So then my wife purchased a few other, like one other bigger 3D printer, like a month ago. And then we went to purchase a pretty good one last week. And then I purchased one 2 days ago. So I'm getting really addicted to 3D printing. I don't know why, but it's just cool. It's cool to have a 3D printing farm. New Zealand, I don't know you well enough to make you a mod yet. If I see you in here for a long time and I trust you, I will. I got the Bamboo Labs. We just got the Bamboo Labs P1S with AMS, which feeds into colors. And then I bought a A1 combo with AMS, which is not as good, but it's still pretty good. So just printing a lot of random stuff, like, small stuff. Um, yeah, there's some amazing stuff you could print with 3D printers. You could print stuff that you never figure, and then they articulate, they move. They're like, you could do a lot of stuff with it. I don't know how people come up with these crazy designs, but they print perfectly. We're heading higher. Iggy, did you have any issues driving your Cybertruck around? No. So far, none. No, no one's spraying it. I think all the media reports is way too over exaggerated. I'm sure it happens that there are like some vandalisms and stuff, but it doesn't happen nearly as much as people have been portraying. Saw Neo as you were scrolling down. Remember that was a hot thing. That was back way in 2018, 2019. They were hot out of China, and then I remember I gave up on them because it took them like 4 years. It came out Neo 3, and then they were very, very, very centralized. Back in the day, they only had 8 nodes, and they controlled 5 of the 8. and then I just stopped following them. But I'm actually quite surprised they are still around, and it seems like they're holding in the top 100 pretty well. It was them and Ontology, and I don't know what happened to Ontology. No one noticed a new CME gap. What level is the CME gap at? I think it's the 90s, isn't it? Someone mentioned low volume. You can see the volume picking up over here. That's after Wall Street opened. But let's see. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, it's building. This is still low volume. But you can see right now, if you zoom out, what's happening is I drew this line, right? And it's been pretty accurate. Ever since we broke below, now Bitcoin is utilizing this trend line as a resistance. If we could break above, that would be very positive, right? So I think we'll probably for the next month or two, if I had to guess, this is probably how it's gonna go. Something like this. We might do this, and then how do I continue this? Oh, where's the other arrows? Something like that. And that the timing of it actually is perfect because right at this cross is right around the June timeframe is when we have another FOMC meeting. We have an FOMC meeting in May. We're probably not going to get a cut then. We're probably going to get a cut in June. And that actually makes a whole lot of sense. So actually we might do like this and then we skyrocket after June. Robin, would you say GRT has good future, Web3, and more blockchains will adopt it? The thing is, more blockchains don't need to adopt GRT. GRT is kind of like a tool, but people can come up with their own APIs without the graph. So just keep that in mind. I think it'll do well, but it's not as... Yeah, we're having a good breakout. Volume's picking up above 88,000. Let's see. So right now in May, we got a 13% chance of that rate cut. Right. I think this week could definitely sway things, and we got a month and a half, so we got a lot more economic data before we get a final picture. But as of right now, it looks like we're not going to get that rate cut in May. But look at June. June for sure we will. 63% chance. So sometime between May and June is when we get that easing happening, okay? And that's when I think we really start moving. Doesn't mean that we can't have a good recovery and, you know, before then. But when the money starts flowing like it has in the past, we have seen Bitcoin and crypto go up amazingly within months of time. That's usually when the money starts flowing, right? And that could start in May or June. Why is no one talking about Van Eyck filing for AVAX ETF? In fact, I did, Anthony. If you watched my video yesterday, I mentioned that. That actually happened like a couple weeks ago, either last week or the week beforehand. Brilliant being, your kids are onto something. I read eventually will be able to print a Ferrari. I mean, they have 3D printers for everything, but just depends on what you could fit in your house and how expensive it is. They have metal 3D printers. They have concrete 3D printers. You could 3D print a house if you wanted to. Those are just not consumer products at this point. But, you know, the filaments that you could get for 3D printers are pretty good already. You could print ABS stuff, which, you know, a lot of it is for cars. They have something else that's like called Peta G or something. That's like high, it could withstand high heat. So I don't think you could put any of them into an engine compartment, but some of them are really durable and you can print already. You can print carbon fiber stuff. I mean, yeah. So eventually you could do a lot. The graph getting to $1. I don't know, man. The graph was above $2, Robin. But there's no guarantee that it could go back to $1 even in this cycle. I'm going to be honest. Not everything this cycle is going to be as good as last cycle. And I don't know, if you look at it, even during the good times, it was at 30 cents. Can it get to $1? There's a possibility. I don't know. And that was when Bitcoin is above 100,000. It was at 30 cents. So even if Bitcoin goes to 200,000, I'm not even sure the graph could get to $1. There's no guarantees of that. $0.50, yes. 50 cents. It was at 30 cents. So going from 30 cents to 50 cents, yes. I think that's definitely possible. Maybe by the end of the cycle. But $1, there's no guarantee of that. Yeah, volume is really picking up. And then the ETF inflows gives you a really good indication that even Wall Street thinks that Bitcoin is oversold. They are definitely picking up once again in small amounts versus how much outflow there was. But today is a pretty good buyback day for sure. Someone's asking about liquidations. Let's see. Last hour, about 17 million. Last 12 hours, 100 million shorts liquidated. Yeah, so a lot of shorts being liquidated right now. Volume is really starting to pick up. Really good. At least on a lower time scale. On the higher time scale, not so much. And on the 4-hour, it does seem like Bitcoin is overbought a little bit. Yeah, we might cool off a little bit. If we go up a little bit more, we might cool off a little bit before heading higher. But pretty darn good day so far. Can't be complaining. All right, guys. I guess let's conclude. You got a pretty good bounce for Bitcoin, for a lot of crypto, for the US market. So that's good. We're starting out the week pretty strong. And that's because we may get more relaxing on the tariffs. But overall, you guys know a lot of things are oversold. Okay? People are starting to pick up once again. They're picking up the bargains. And there's no better bargain than Bitcoin right now. So Bitcoin is definitely coming back. And a lot of crypto, they are going to come back. And things are going to be glorious once again. So stay strong, stay focused, and I'll see you guys later. Robin, I already answered you about 50 cents, man. I appreciate the super chats, but I already answered you on GRT at 50 cents. And there are better plays. I don't know if you have, like, your entire bag is in one coin, but there are definitely better plays, and maybe you should diversify. Richard, I appreciate it. All right, guys. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.